My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Gunpowder Milkshake. And is this milkshake worth drinking? I'd order the vanilla next time, but let's go into why. This movie is very much a case of style over substance. It's got a cool soundtrack to it, it's got neon lighting, and that aspect is well done. But it's also completely overused at this point. How many movies in the past 5 years have used neon lighting and a cool synth score? It's no longer fresh. We've seen it already. So you can't just rely on a type of style that we've seen done to death at this point, and the substance is nearly non-existent. I didn't care for any of the characters. They try to tell a story about a mom and her daughter, and just nothing in that story worked for me. They try to tell you a story about this girl trying to protect this little girl, and that didn't work for me. And if you stop and think about the plot, the entire plot, the very foundation this movie is based on, is very weak. Basically, this girl has to get money from this guy. She shoots the guy, and then she's like, well, I guess I gotta protect her daughter now. And then some people steal the money that she was going to get back, and then the money blows up. And it's just built on a lot of contrivances, and it doesn't really drive the plot forward in any engaging ways. But this movie does have a lot of action, and that's probably the main reason lots of people will watch this movie. But even that element didn't work for me either. When the first action scene began, I was just like, okay, here we go. And I was very disappointed. It takes place about a half hour into the movie, and you could just tell that everyone's... But they sped it up, and when the gimmick behind the fight scene is that obvious, it just took me out of it. It didn't look clean, it didn't look well choreographed, it just looked very obvious in how they did it. But I will say that there's one fight scene in a hospital that I found to be very innovative. Basically, the main character has no control over her arms, so she's just swinging them around as she's trying to hit them with a knife and shoot them with a gun, but she has no control over her arms, and that fight scene was really great. They did something different with it. There's another fight scene where she's in a library and she's looking for a weapon in all the different books, and that fight scene had something to it. But just about every other one just completely fell flat for me. There's one car chase scene where the main character can't drive the vehicle, so a little girl is, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't buy that this little girl could drive this vehicle like that. Absolutely not. I don't care if she's giving her instructions. No, I do not buy it. The cast is also underwhelming. I really like Karen Gillan. I thought she was great in Avengers Endgame and Oculus, but some of her delivery is very wooden here, and she's not given enough material to work with, and the rest of the cast is completely forgettable. I kind of like Ralph Ineson as an actor, and I would have liked if they utilized him more, but he's really just in like 3 scenes, so even though he's like the big baddie, he doesn't really feel like. You know, I was debating with myself on whether or not I'd bring this up, but you know what, let's do it. Why does this movie exist? This movie exists because they have a quota to make an action movie starring badass women. That is the only reason this movie exists, and you can tell. The entire premise of this movie is badass women do badass action scenes. And if the action was badass, fine. If the characters were interesting, fine. But you can tell that they had no characters prepared for this movie. They had no story prepared for this movie. All they had was the mere premise of women fighting guys. If you want to have a movie with badass women, excellent, great, go for it. Atomic Blonde's great, Aliens is great, this Mad Max Fury Road is great. But that shouldn't be your main goal. Your main goal should be to tell a good story with interesting characters and deliver on whatever it sets out to do. And if your entire goal of this movie is just to have women starring in an action movie, it's not going to work. Anyways, I found this movie to be incredibly dull, generic, completely forgettable. There are cool moments, like I said. There's an action scene in a hospital that's really cool. There is some nice style to it. There is some cool music in it. But overall, this movie, I won't remember. So I'm going to go ahead and give this movie a 4.5 out of 10. Okay, did you guys order a Gunpowder Milkshake? What did you think of it? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe. Stay tuned for some more videos soon. Gavin out.